Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of English Podcast Academy. I'm Becca.
And I'm Ron. Today we're diving into one of the most requested topics ever, how to learn English. And not just learn it, but crush it.
Picture this, you're watching your favorite movie in English, and you're laughing at the jokes because you get them. You're having conversations without stressing about every word. Doesn't that sound amazing?
It's totally possible. And today, we're sharing the best tips from top educators, our own personal language learning stories, and some hilarious anecdotes. Plus, we'll answer your burning questions like, can I learn English without moving to an English-speaking country? Spoiler alert, yes, you can.
And make sure you stick around until the end. We're sharing vocabulary words and insider hacks to take your English to the next level.
All right, let's start with this. Why do people want to learn English? I'll throw the question to our listeners. What's your reason? Is it for work, travel, relationships, or something else?
I'll say this. English is everywhere. It's the language of the internet, global business, pop culture, and even memes. If you speak English, you're already one step closer to being part of the global conversation.
Exactly. Plus, it's a tool for connection. When I traveled to Japan, I couldn't speak much Japanese, but English became our bridge language. It's amazing how it can open doors.
For me, one of my proudest moments teaching English in China was seeing how excited my students were when they could hold their first real conversation in English. It's like watching someone unlock a new world.
So listeners, ask yourself this. What's your why? Write it down, stick it on your fridge, and remind yourself every day.
All right, let's be real. Learning English isn't always easy. What's the hardest part? For a lot of my students, it was confidence. They were so scared of making mistakes that they wouldn't speak at all.
Oh, for sure. When I was learning English, my biggest struggle was vocabulary. There were so many words that sounded similar but meant totally different things. Like bear, the animal, and bare as in uncovered.
Classic. And don't even get me started on phrasal verbs. Pick up, pick out, pick on. It's enough to make anyone crazy.
But here's the thing. These challenges are normal. The key is to tackle them one step at a time, and we'll show you how.
Let's introduce 3 key vocabulary words that every English learner should know. Motivation. The reason or desire to do something. Her motivation to learn English was to travel the world.
Practice. To do something repeatedly to improve. He practiced speaking English every day with his friends.
Confidence. The belief that you can do something well. Building confidence is important when speaking English.
Keep these words in mind because they're the foundation of your learning journey.
So when I was teaching English in China, I had students ranging from total beginners to people who could almost debate me in English. The one thing they all needed? Real-life practice.
What did you do to make it fun?
We did role-playing. For example, we'd pretend to order food at a restaurant. I'd be the waiter, and they'd have to ask for what they wanted.
That's brilliant. Did you ever have funny moments?
Oh, all the time. One student accidentally asked for chicken ice cream instead of chicken with ice water. We laughed so hard, and it actually helped them remember the correct phrase.
That's the beauty of mistakes. They're unforgettable lessons. For me, learning English was kind of a family project. My parents spoke Spanish and French at home, but they wanted me and my siblings to learn English early. So, we had English-only nights at dinner.
Did you like it, or was it stressful?
A mix of both. I remember one time I tried to say I'm full, but I said I'm fool. My siblings teased me for weeks.
That's hilarious. But it goes to show, practicing with family or friends is one of the best ways to improve. Let's dive into what the pros say. Paul Nation, one of the top experts in language learning, emphasizes focusing on the most common words first. Did you know that just 1,000 words cover 85% of everyday conversations?
That's wild. Another great tip comes from A.J. Hoge. He says repetition is key. Listening to the same story or song multiple times helps you internalize patterns.
And don't forget Gabby Wallace, who says confidence is your secret weapon. She always reminds learners to focus on communication, not perfection.
So true. What's your favorite expert tip, Becca?
I love the idea of chunking, which means learning phrases instead of single words. For example, instead of just learning thank, learn thank you very much. It's more practical.
All right, let's get personal. Becca, what's the funniest or most surprising thing that happened while you were teaching English?
One time, I gave my students a list of idioms to learn, like it's raining cats and dogs. A week later, one student told me he spent an hour outside looking for the animals during a storm. I couldn't stop laughing.
That's amazing. For me, I'll never forget when my Spanish-speaking aunt tried to learn English. She once said, "I love my bed sheet," but mispronounced sheet. Let's just say everyone was laughing for days.
Language learning is full of moments like that. Listeners, what's your funniest or most embarrassing English learning story? DM us or comment. We'd love to share some in our next episode.
Let's give you some more vocabulary words to boost your skills. Accent. The way someone speaks, often tied to their region. She has a beautiful British accent.
Immersion. Being surrounded by a language. Watching English movies helps with immersion.
Phrasal verb. A verb combined with a preposition or adverb. Phrasal verbs like look up can be tricky but useful.
Comprehension. The ability to understand something. Listening exercises improve comprehension.
Fluency. The ability to speak smoothly. Fluency takes practice, but it's achievable.
And here's a hack. Start by practicing high-frequency sentences, like how are you or can you help me? These are phrases you'll use all the time.
Before we wrap up, here's a challenge for you. Pick one of the vocabulary words we shared and use it in a sentence today. Bonus points if you post it on social media and tag us.
And here's another. Watch your favorite TV show in English tonight. Start with subtitles, but try turning them off for a few minutes to see how much you catch.
Lastly, think about your why for learning English. Write it down and share it with us. We'll give you a shout out in our next episode.
Learning English isn't about being perfect. It's about making progress. Celebrate every small win, whether it's understanding a joke, pronouncing a word correctly, or having your first conversation.
And remember, learning a language is a journey, not a race. Be kind to yourself, stay consistent, and don't be afraid to make mistakes.
You've got this. Thanks for joining us today, and we can't wait to hear about your English learning adventures.
See you next time on English Podcast Academy. Keep practicing and stay curious.
Bye, everyone.